You're listening to the Teach Better Talk podcast featuring expert educators eager to share progressive tactics to reach more students. Teach Better Talk is created by teachers and fueled by passion. Let's get started.
Hey everyone, welcome to episode 201 of Teach Better Talk. My name is Ray Hewart, and as always, I am with my fancy friend, Mr. Jeff Gargas. I thought that Jeff was going to start introducing me at these 200 episodes, but it sounds like my job is too challenging for him. Are you doing okay, Jeff? Are you nervous over there?
Do you want to stop and do it again?
Podcast?
Do you want to stop, do it again, and have me start doing that? We did talk about that, and we didn't think about it until right now.
Well, I mean, I don't want to throw off our listeners.
Did you think about it, but didn't tell me just so you could like get on me right now and make fun of me? Is that what?
I did
like
just want to make fun of you. Yes. Yeah. Do you want to try it, Jeff? It's a really hard task to be able to welcome in the listeners. So you tell me, do you feel like you can handle the responsibility, or does it make you kind of shake in your boots?
I'm way too scared to do that. I don't want to try.
Oh, I'm so sorry. That's okay, Jeff. I'll take the hard parts of the podcast.
I know. Like, I think I'd have trouble because I think the most important part of that of your job is to it's got to take at least 2 or 3 takes each time to get the number right? Is that?
I did not. This was the first take. That's how I get that genuine response. Our listeners know I get a genuine response from Jeff because I completely make it up on the spot. So I got the episode number correct. 201.
You did. This time was not a thing. It's actually very rare that you do have to do multiple takes, but it's a lot of fun when you do.
Only when they give me really hard words to say.
Yeah. Understandable. So let's get on. This was a fun episode. Super cool young man that we had with us today. I want to get into that, but I was hoping that we could highlight someone or a group of someones before we get in there.
Let's do a group of someones. I love a group of someones.
I want to highlight an awesome school district. Can we do that? Is that cool?
We work with school districts all the time. How are you going to pick your favorite?
It's tough. We do so much work with so many school districts all over the country, but we don't typically talk a lot about them, and I don't know why, because so many of them are doing so many awesome things. We really should talk about them more. But this was one of those the recently you got to help kind of kick off their school year for. So I'm going to help maybe you kind of talk a little bit on what you shared with them. But this is McHenry Community High School District 156, and you got, like I said, you just did their kickoff. So shout out to them for bringing the amazing Ray Hewart in to talk to their staff. But can you tell us a little bit about what was the feel of their staff? What did you talk to them about? And just basically shower them with how awesome they are is what I'm looking for here, really.
No, they really are awesome. I love when leaders in school districts reach out and ask our team to do any work with them, but especially kicking off the year. I feel like they give us the ownership of really setting the tone for the year. And that's so fun because this year is full of stress and anxiety and everything negative that we can come up with. But the reality is kicking off the year is a huge responsibility. And we definitely want our educators to feel empowered and feel strong and feel like they can handle anything that the world throws at them. And so I had such a good time hanging out with those teachers. We were able to talk about the Teach Better team. We were able to talk about my new book with Adam Welcome called Teachers Deserve It. And we were able to really talk about this idea that even with all of these hurdles in front of us, even with all these unknowns, we still can have an incredible school year together. And so we were able to share a few strategies. We're able to talk about some teacher care, self-care, but also the importance of educators using their voice, not only to empower their students, but also to share with their community their experiences and the learning that takes place in classrooms. No matter whether you're going back in the classroom with your students day in, day out, or you're in a blended model, or you're completely remote learning like I am right now with my own kiddos, we all have a responsibility to make this an incredible year. And we can walk in with fear. There is such a reality of there being elephants in the room when we walk into Institute Day, and we're nervous and we're anxious and we don't know what to do. But when we're able to come together and empower ourselves, empower each other to do incredible work this year, I think that's a really important way that we should be kicking off the 2020-2021 school year altogether, because even with all these hurdles, we're going to make it amazing. So I loved working with their staff. We, like I said, were able to share some stories, problem solve a little bit, really keep that solution-minded focus on our conversation. And I cannot wait to connect back with them via social media, and also hopefully being able to continue to interact with that school district and just support the amazing ideas coming out of those educators, because holy cow, are they doing amazing things. And that is not going to stop just because we have a world pandemic going on, people. Educators are powerful. We're going to make it happen.
Man, I'm jazzed up right now. I should just have you help me kick off my year right there. So yeah, shout out District 156. You're awesome. Keep up the awesome work. That was great. I'm like jazzed up. I'm pumped up right now, Ray. Nice work.
I try, Jeff.
I had no idea that you wrote a book with Adam Welcome. That's so cool.
Yeah, we actually even gave away some copies. So Jeff, welcome to the party, beer buddy. Come on.
No, this
we
is
actually
great,
went
man.
live. Jeff Gargas, we went live for 3 hours when my book launched. So I don't know. It would be pretty hard for you not to know.
Oh, I was there. That's right. I was there. That was fun.
Yep, it was fun.
So speaking of books, this young man who we had on podcast actually published author as well. When we talk about his book, he's giving away a copy of his book later in this episode. Sebastian Sanders is the CEO and founder of Sanders Hand, which is a nonprofit organization that does a lot of work in the community and in education. And I'm going to let him explain what their mission is, but I love it. It's so important, such important work, powerful work that they do. And when you find out that this guy is only 23 years old, and you hear the just the vision he has, the experience he already has, and just what he's trying to do is just, I was just totally blown away by this guy. I was so glad that he came on. He's also, like I said, he's also an author. He's a youth motivational speaker. Just a charismatic, just visionary of a young man. I'm super pumped that we had him on the podcast. Ray, anything you want to add before we get into this?
Let's do this. I cannot wait to soak up all of his inspiration.
All right, let's get into episode 201 with Sebastian Sanders.
We'll be getting right back to this podcast episode, but really quick, I want to give a special shout out to any leaders in schools. If you are a district leader, a school building leader in any capacity, the Teach Better team has a weekly administrative mastermind, which actually welcomes in district leaders from around the world to come together and collaborate. There is no better time than right now to make sure that you are considering all factors and sharing resources with educators around the country and around the world. This is an amazing get-together that happens every single Tuesday. And if you have any sort of leadership role, consider this your invitation. You can get the private link to make sure that you're part of this weekly get-together over at teachbetter.com/mastermind. All right, leaders, we'll see you there, but let's get back to this episode.
All right, we are here. We are chatting with Sebastian Sanders. And Sebastian, great to have you on the show. Excited to learn about you and the work that you're doing right now, and just learn a little bit more about your story. But before we get too far into that, man, how are you feeling right now?
I'm feeling great. It's Monday. It's been a slow Monday, but it's also been a good Monday, so I'm feeling good. How about you guys?
Feeling great, man.
Awesome.
Feeling great.
Yeah, glad that you're here, and I want to make sure our listeners kind of learn all about you. We usually start our podcast off with that like very typical question of what you do. And I know we've been able to chat on the phone. I've gotten to hear about the work you're doing, so want to give that all to our listeners throughout this podcast episode. Would you mind starting us off with a little bit around like what you do?
No problem. So my name is Sebastian Sanders. I'm originally from Houston, Texas. I currently reside here in Oklahoma City now. So for me, well-rounded entrepreneur, senior entrepreneur, social entrepreneur, heavily involved in my community, youth motivational speaker, published author. And for me, a lot of everything that I did pretty much started a few years ago when I was a sophomore at college at the time. I was at the University of Texas at San Antonio, kind of going through the typical college phase where you're partying, having fun, but you're also starting to get to, okay, what's going to be my purpose? What's going to be my thing when I graduate? What do I want to do? Starting to, buckle down. And I feel like God just, placed it on me to kind of, give back to my community, but give back at a larger scale. So Sanders Hand was birthed. That led me into doing a lot of the educational things that I've been doing, educational consulting, working with principals, teachers, and superintendents to provide our kids with resources and opportunities. And then from there, graduating from college, I moved here to Oklahoma City last year, and I currently work for PepsiCo as a sales district manager. So for me, I think the two things that will describe me the most is business and community.
Gotcha. So let's talk. I want to get right into Sanders Hand, which is your organization. Can you kind of give us the overarching? What is it? What are you doing? And then I know you sort of touched on where it came from, but maybe the backstory of like how you got there and how it all started and what's going on there.
Yeah, for sure. So it was April of 2017. I remember it. I remember that like it was yesterday. So I was in my statistics class. Really didn't like this class. So I always like did other things, researching and whatnot. So I just had a meeting with my career assessment. I want to say maybe a day before. So me and her sat down. We had a conversation talking about different things, and she was kind of challenging me to find something that'd be bigger than myself. And then I don't know. It just kind of came to me. I was like, okay, maybe I can do a donation drive. But then I realized I feel like I wouldn't say necessarily it was basic, but I feel like there was a bigger need in my community at the time. Not saying there's anything wrong with donation drive, but I feel like there was something more that I could do. So I went home and called my dad. Me and him were really close, and I asked him for his advice. And he's consulted me throughout my whole life, and he challenged me as well. He said, "I think we should find something bigger." And so Sanders' name was birthed that night. Sanders being my last name, hand is sort of the imagery of us lending a helping hand to our community. So from that day, we worked heavily with a lot of nonprofits, organizations, volunteering, trying to find our way, trying to find our mission and purpose. And we spent about 6 months doing all that groundwork and getting that field experience until we figured out what's going to be our core mission, which we have today, which is two programs that are both dedicated towards empowerment, innovation, and diversity. So education and community. Through education, the idea is to teach our students and families professional leadership skills that goes untaught inside the classroom. So through our curriculum Define Success, we are teaching our students and parents skills such as interviews, resumes, financial literacy, entrepreneurship, professional etiquette, and cultivating that through the community through partnerships, volunteering, and donating. And the sense of this is to increase the minority income level while decreasing the minority poverty level. So providing our people with the resources to improve their lives all around. So since its founding, we have roughly serviced over 3,000 youth from Texas to Oklahoma through our various programs, workshops, seminars, and our conferences that we have hosted. We have a proclamation in the city of San Antonio of April 3rd of each year for our work that we do. We are annually have scholarships for our students from middle school and high school. So it's been an amazing journey, just really giving back. But, for us, our nonprofit, it's not the traditional nonprofit. I don't really like to say that. I like to say we're more of a social entrepreneurship business. But with this, we are hoping to change the education system for our kids. These are programs that are for the students and by the students. So this was a lot of, field testing, being out there with our kids, hearing their stories and hearing what they wanted to learn more and, putting that together. So since its founding, it's been an amazing journey, learning so much about our communities and about our kids. And it's been exciting to see them grow up and through our system from 8th to 9th graders to now graduating from high school, going to college. One student last week, he messaged us and said he decided to be a firefighter right after he graduated high school. So I think things like that are just priceless. And it's truly what our mission is about. Don't look for change, being the change.
Man, wow! I mean, the work you're doing is so important, so incredible, and what you've been able to accomplish so far is, just really great. I mean, that's just as awesome. Uh, and alongside of that, you're also an author. So I'm going to go into that now. Your book. Tell us about the book, and when did it come out? Who's it for? What does it cover? And what was that process like for you?
Yeah. So The Art of Giving, One Nonprofit Can Change the World was published this year on April 3rd of 2020. So this has been something that's been in the works, I would say, since about 2018. Books have been a huge part of my life since I was a kid. I've always read books. I've always been inspired by books. And so for me, when I was out with the kids and I was visiting and I started to speak a lot and be at these different engagements and things like that, I've always got the question of, how did you create this organization? How did you do this? So I really realized there was a need, because when I first started in the nonprofit world, I quite didn't have, I wouldn't say necessarily a mentor, but I didn't have the resources to show me how to build a nonprofit. So that was the book, that was the whole intent for creating the book. So the book is an inspirational guide to creating your own nonprofit. But the most important thing taken away from the book is defining giving. So it's going to be a part of a series, which will be the Art of Giving series. The first installment is about nonprofits and community organizations. But most importantly, I feel like giving is a thing that can be misconstrued if it's in the wrong hands. So writing this book, we're showing you how to create your own nonprofit, but along the way, providing you with the inspiration and the resources, to dig deep into yourself so you can ask yourself, what is my why? What is my purpose? And how do I give? So it's been amazing. This book is mainly intended for our educators and our youth leaders and our students, of course. So heavily focused on, placing this book inside the classrooms for our students, to follow a curriculum. Right now, I'm working with my church, and our students, our youth ministry kids, are working through the curriculum, and they're building a nonprofit organization by the book, by the book's guide. So it's exciting, being an avid reader and being able to release a book. I think it was something that was that I never seen coming, especially at my age. I thought I was going to write a book maybe in my 30s, but to write it now and to see its success, it's been truly a blessing.
That's great, man. I really love that. And I'll make sure that the link to that book's over in the show notes, so y'all can go check that out as well. So I'm hoping you can share a story with us. One of the things we talk about on this podcast a lot is failure, because I've always said that I've been fortunate enough to fail a lot in all the different things that I've done. And I consider myself fortunate because those things have led me to where I am now. I still learn from today from things that I messed up and failed at years ago. So I wonder if you could share a story with us about a time you've had a failure in your journey here. Tell us what happened. How did you overcome that? And then what did you take away from that experience?
Yeah, most definitely. So I want to say about the summer of 2017, we were about 3-4 months into Sanders Hand. So I had this idea of creating like Sanders Hand student resource boxes. Now, I got the idea. My girlfriend at the time, she was big into like the makeup boxes and whatnot. So she used to watch a lot of these YouTube channels, and she used to always like talk about these makeup boxes and how they're very essential to the makeup community and the beauty community and whatnot. So I like the blueprint. I like the idea. And so I was like, I think we can do this for our kids. So, I came up with the plan, and I created the box. I put some things into the box and we put it out there, to test the market. It didn't do exactly what we expected. It didn't really move at all. But from me failing from that, I realized if we're creating something that's for a specific audience or a specific niche, then we have to tailor it towards that. You have to pretend that you're the customer or the consumer, instead of trying to put something together from the CEO standpoint. So, from failing from that, we changed the whole spectrum of the Sanders Hand. We changed the whole marketing scheme. We changed our target audience. We started to laser focused on our programs, who they benefit, and why. And I think if we didn't fail from that experience, we might have just continuously been putting out projects and putting things together that quite wouldn't have made sense to our audience, and it might have confused our kids and the people who support us. So from us failing from that, it took us about 3 months to recover from that, because there's a lot of resources, a lot of time, a lot of money that was invested into it. But in reality, I think it was all worth it, because once we changed our whole scheme up, we started to see our programs grow at a great rate. We started to see the feedback grow. We started to actually see our numbers jump up when we're improving our literacy rate from our kids, because we changed our focus. And that was from the business standpoint. And on a personal standpoint, I think me failing in certain relationships, or I wouldn't even say relationships or failure, I would just say me learning a lot, I think is what had built me to be the man that I am today. Growing through those failures, I think you have to go through that. I think you have to fail sometimes in order, to get to where you want. Because on the road or the journey to success is not going to be easy. You're going to hit some hardships, but the times that you fail, you're able to learn about yourself. You're able to learn from it and to overcome. And I think that's the greatest thing about life. Some of us may not want to fail, but I think you need to fail a few times in order to get that big win that you've been hoping for your whole life.
Sebastian, it's been so awesome being connected to you. I think we originally connected on Twitter, and your passion for helping bring life skills into the classroom, into, students' lives, where they're not only learning, obviously, the content, but really focusing on these skills that we need to be successful in our community and to give back and to be successful in business is really something that resonated with me when we originally connected, because I wholeheartedly believe that these skills have to be incorporated in our content. A lot of the work that I see done is done in isolation. And we see that with SEL skills. We see that with a lot of different skills that aren't specific standards that we're trying to meet. And our focus on trying to bring this in and integrate it into our students' lives so they can be more successful in the future is a huge element that I am just such a fan of, and the work that you're doing. So I have to know, usually question 4 deals with what gets us excited about education and the work that you're doing. So I want to know, in the specific element of like working to bring the right skills into schools, what really fuels your fire with wanting to accomplish that?
Yes. Oh, great question. I think what fuels me is seeing how creative our kids can be when given the necessary resources. And I noticed that when we first started getting into our schools and our programs, when you're one thing that we like to play with them is like Shark Tank simulation, placing them inside of a setting, giving them certain resources and seeing what they create and just hearing and just seeing the things that they create. It truly excites you because you were once that kid that was in that chair. You was once that kid that had all the crazy ideas, but in reality, those ideas are awesome and great. And I think once you realize that all they need is somebody to listen and to invest into them, you're able to see it from a different perspective. And I think that's what fuels me. And every time I go visit with them, I always ask them, hey, what's going on now in your life that you want to see change, or what do you want to see create? And those conversations are what inspires you, because these are students who may not have a big brother or a big sister, so they're looking for you, to be their support. And when they're pouring all their energy and their heart into you, and they're telling you, I'm avid about this, I want to be passionate about this, I want to do that, that inspires me just to create whatever I can for them so they can have that avenue. And then from that, once you spend that time with them, months or weeks later, they may reach out to you and they always say, thank you for doing this, or thank you for showing me this. I was able to do this. That means the most to me, And I think, like I said, a couple weeks ago, a student reached out saying he wanted to be a firefighter. And then our first scholarship recipient, he keeps in contact with me today, and he was telling me about how he's going into senior year of high school. He has all these colleges he's looking at, and he's a professional boxer. And just hearing them being happy and their passion is what fuels me. And I think that's like I always tell people, it's bigger than yourself, especially when you're doing something for others. It's always going to be bigger than self. And the day that you stop being selfish with your purpose or whatever your true gift is, it becomes more life fulfilling for the people around you and for your community.
No, I love that. Sebastian, the majority of our listeners are educators, whether they're in the classroom or they have leadership roles or they work directly with the community. Everybody that is affiliated with the Teach Better talk is more often than not has some sort of background in education. And so I'd love to know one piece of advice that you would offer, no matter what kind of element of avenue of education they're involved in. How can we better bring these skills into our classrooms and really support the whole child by talking about, giving these opportunities to our students?
Yeah, truly. Great question. I think the biggest thing, like you said, whether you're in educational or in some type of leadership role, is truly understanding your community and your people, taking the time to figure out what motivates them, because ultimately everybody's going to be motivated differently. Every student is going to have some type of different motivation. Every student is not going to learn the same. But being a leader, being a role model, being a mentor, you have to truly realize and understand that I'm going to have to put myself inside of their shoes. And like I always tell people, in order to lead somebody, you have to get inside of their world in order to lead them out. You have to grow to the root of the problem and try to decipher the root of that problem and figure out where you went wrong or where the society went wrong and how can I fix that. And as a leader, you have to be really servant. And when you're serving your people, it's hard for you to sit behind a desk or sit anywhere of leadership and always appoint, duties to certain people or appoint duties to your kids. You have to truly understand how and when and why to do things. And I think the moment a leader, understands those values and really changes their mindset when they're leading their people, you will truly get a great return on your investment. Because like I said, everybody has their way of doing things. Every kid is different. Everybody's different in the work field. But the moment that we realize that we have to understand our differences, that we're going to have our differences, then we can truly move on from what's going on currently and truly move in the right direction. And I think to sum everything up is, don't look for change, be the change. I think we always looking for change for somebody else to do something, always looking for somebody else to step in and save us. But reality, you have the power, to create that change from the palm of your hands. And I think once people truly realize that they're special, they have a gift, whether that's a leadership role or not a leadership role, I think you can definitely, make some change and, improve society for the better.
Don't look for change, be the change. Wow, there's so much in that. That's some good advice, dude. I love that. That was great. We didn't talk about this beforehand, but when we got connected, we scheduled, we talked about this briefly. Do you want to do a book giveaway? You want to give away a copy?
Yes, most definitely. I love to give away a signed copy.
Awesome. So what we typically do here is we make whoever's listening, if you want to grab a copy of Sebastian's book, they're going to tweet out at us. They got to use hashtag #TeachBetterTalk, hashtag #TeachBetter. But then the rest is up to you. So what do you want them to do? Do you want them to answer a question? You want them to share them something? what would you like to see from the listeners?
Yeah. So that's great. So I think we should ask a question and get some responses. I think we should ask, what does change look like to you? And create a
Ooh,
conversation
I like
centered
that.
around that.
What does change look like to you? So make sure you tweet that out at us, and then we'll get those organized, and we'll get it set up, and Sebastian will get a copy out to you. That's awesome, dude. I love that. Really appreciate you doing that. Let's keep having some fun. We're gonna take these next 6 questions, and your goal is to answer each one in 15 seconds or less. You ready?
Okay, sounds good.
All right. Give us one tech tool you cannot live without.
iPhone.
Give us a book you're reading right now.
I think it's called the one page marketing rule or something like that. I can't think off the top of my head.
All right, we'll get it. I'll make sure it's on there for everybody. Who should we follow on social media today? You can give us up to 3 if you'd like.
Okay, sounds good. For one, I believe Eric Thomas is a great person to follow. Also, I follow so many great content creators. I would say Eric Thomas for one. There's another guy at Sleep for Suckers. He's a great speaker as well. And then I think Michelle Obama. I think she brings great diversity in being a powerful woman in leadership. I think she's a great role model to follow.
Give us a good YouTube channel or website that educators should check out.
This is hard. I have so many favorites. Can we come back to this one, or do I have to answer this one right now?
We'll come back to it. Well, I got 2 more, and then we'll loop back. So, give us
Okay.
a daily, weekly, or monthly routine every teacher should get into.
Okay. So I would say daily, try to hold your students accountable to something, whether that's the simple task of, sharpening a pencil, passing out papers. Give them some type of leadership role that they can have, daily. And I think weekly we should have, one-on-ones or maybe group conversations with our students surrounding our mental health and what's going on. Trying to have that conversation so they can feel comfortable and they can feel more, safe inside the classroom, what's safe going to school, and just really having that conversation so they can know that there's somebody's there. And I would say monthly, provide our students with some type of incentives. Have them look forward to having something at the end of the month, where they're completing a task or they're getting grade on something. Let's create an initiative where our students can look forward to something so they can work towards something.
What's the best piece of advice you've ever received?
The best piece of advice I have received. Great question. I would say you're never too old or too young to do something. And myself being 23, I've always felt like a lot of goals that I set for myself, I always try to put an age restriction on until I realized the sky's the limit. Anything can be done. Anything is possible. So once I really soaked in that advice, I just started to take life, full steam ahead, and just really started to just live out my dreams. And like last week, I was on Instagram and I found a 10-year-old young woman, and she created some type of lemonade product, and she sold it to Whole Foods Market for almost $10 million. She's 10 years old. And that just showed me that you're just never too old or too young to do anything as long as you put your mind to it.
Oh, I love that. All right, we're going back. What's a good YouTube channel or website?
Good website. Okay, so I'm pulling it up right now. That way I can give you guys the best. So this is a YouTube channel that I've been following. Black Christian Influencers.
Black Christian Influencers. Okay, and that's a YouTube, you said?
Yes, sir.
Awesome. All right. Boom. Ray, I think, a lot, we obviously, our audience knows we send everyone the questions ahead of time, but not everyone goes through and prepares. Some people like to just do it on the fly. Sebastian did it on the fly, so not bad, man. These aren't easy things to just come up with, especially because we follow. I mean, you said it in there, right? We follow so many awesome people on social media. There's so many websites, so I appreciate the authenticity with that, man. That was great.
Yeah, no problem. Thank you, guys.
No, so good. I want to make sure not only that our listeners get to take your insight and hopefully apply it very soon to their classrooms, whether you're remote or blended or virtual, no matter what, we need to be taking these skills and bringing them into our classroom as often as possible. I'd love for them to stay connected to you, Sebastian. Would you mind sharing how people can find you, maybe your Twitter handle or Instagram, or maybe a website you could share with us?
Yeah, no problem. So my personal Instagram is at Sebastian J. Sanders. And then our Sanders Hand Instagram is at SandersHand.org. Our Twitter is at SandersHand.org as well. Same for Facebook. My personal Twitter is Sebastian James with 2 E's. And I am on LinkedIn as well as Sebastian Sanders. And you can always visit our website at sandershand.org. Visit our website. You can check us out. You can send us a message, send us an email. We can stay connected, and we can, create something beautiful for our community and for our kids.
Love it. You can find all the links, all the resources, everything we talked about in this episode over at teachbetter.com, as well as those really important links for connecting with Sebastian and Sanders Hand and everything they got going on there. So make sure you head over to teachbetter.com for all of that. Be sure to hit subscribe so you don't miss any upcoming episodes. And if you can give us a rating and a review, we'd really appreciate that as well. And let's take it just one step further. Think of just 3 of your colleagues who need to hear these amazing stories and connect with these amazing educators. Share this podcast with them. Sebastian, man, this was great having you on. I really enjoyed getting to know you. I'm really pumped to kind of keep digging into your story and everything you got going on and getting to know you more. I hope that this is just the start of it and the conversation continues, but really, really appreciate you coming on, hanging out with us, having some fun with us, and giving us some of your time, man. Thank you.
Yeah, no problem. Thank you guys so much. I absolutely love the platform.
And until next time, let's get out there. Let's teach better.